ברוך אתה אדוני מלכנו משהכל דברי.
Amen.
Hi, Michael Baruch. All right. A good Tavach. Shavua Tov, a good week to one and all. We're going to continue with Mimer. We did the Mimer, the discourse that was said on Yud Kislev, 10th of Kislev, Chada B'Shalom, in 1980, Tavshimim Aleph. And now, I'm going to say the one that was said on the 17th of Kislev, 7 days later, a week later. Also Pada B'Shalom. Pada B'Shalom Nafshi, my soul was redeemed in peace. Mikra V'li Kiberabim Hayo Imadi, from within, because the multitude were with me. So it's known that which the Alter Rebbe was precise in these words. He's the Bala Geula. He is the one that we're celebrating, his release from prison. Also, his son, who was his Mamala Malcolm, the one who took his stead, who was the Bala Geula, the one who was redeemed for Yud Kislev. And that which the verse is emphasizing, not only redemption, but that it's in peace specifically, right? That it's in peace, a redemption in peace, peacefully, right? And also that says mikrov li, from something close within, from me, of me. And it wasn't a battle. And it wasn't a battle. Also, that the redemption is li, to me, that the verse says. This is a verse in Tehillim, in Psalms, chapter 55, verse 19. Also, we need to understand that the verse says, because the multitude were with me. Which sounds like this is the reason why the redemption was in peace, because the multitude were with me. Fine. So the essential point over here is the only time you can have a redemption is when you have some opposition. Otherwise, what do you need to be redeemed for? Right? Today's the coldest day we've had in Montreal. Some people want to be redeemed to the sunny south. Only because of the cold weather. You know, do you want redemption? So when there is no opposition, there's nothing to be redeemed from, simply put. Especially when we're speaking about in the realm of holiness, right? The realm of holiness is the only path, the only way, the only reality, right? So, right, like Doing good is the only thing. There's nothing opposing. Well, you don't need redemption. Right. But when there is a tzad keneged, when there is something that brings a darkness, brings a foolishness, then we need redemption from that darkness and from that foolishness. And that redemption brings to a holiness that will be in a manner of Yisroel Mitoich HaChoshech, that the greater light comes from darkness. Greater wisdom comes from folly. In other words, the fact that you have to deal with the darkness and the foolishness means the light will become greater as a result. The wisdom will become greater as a result. Not only in the amount, but in the quality too. Very powerful idea. In other words, because we have an obstacle, that obstacle is going to make the light that illuminates our lives, because we get through that obstacle, we're redeemed through it. There'll be greater light in our lives and greater wisdom in our lives than if we didn't have it. L'chaim. Now, redemption, though, can be in two ways, right? In other words, the fact that you have opposition and you need from that opposition to be redeemed, it can be in two ways. It can be in a battle or it can be in peace. So our verse in Tehillim, in Psalms, right, is speaking about that the redemption is in peace. And this itself, both battle and peace, can be in two different manners. Meaning that the manner of redemption can be in a manner that is you could be close to the obstacle in your life, the person who's that obstacle, let's say, right? That challenge that you have, and you could be redeemed from it, but yet the obstacle hasn't been refined, hasn't been elevated. It remains the same and not redeemed. Or you could be in a distance from that which you are engaged in. And the obstacle could be from a distance. In other words, you can have an obstacle that's close by in life. You can have an obstacle that's at a distance. So our verse is speaking about that the obstacle was close by, right? It's close by. It was an obstacle that you had to face to face, if you will. And for me was the redemption in a strong manner that there's not possible a change. And the reason is because the multitude were with me. So What are we saying? The obstacle is close by, just setting up kind of the parameter, the skeleton of the building, so to speak, right? And you have to hold, the obstacle is right, in front of you, so to speak. You got to be very strong to deal with it. And what gave you the strength and the ultimately that you're able to be redeemed from that situation is because the multitude were with you. And this is two explanations. One is because the prayers of the multitude were with me. I had support. People were praying for me. Really important idea, right? Really important when we're dealing with an obstacle in life. We're not alone. There's those that are praying for us. Powerful. That's what it means. That's one explanation. In other words, because the multitude, I wasn't alone. People were there, in support of my um, challenge. And I had those that were praying that, the multitude of people were praying for me. Psh, wow. Interesting. A second explanation, which means because the multitude were with me, is referring to redemption. Hmm. Meaning, not only was I redeemed through this challenge, but others were also redeemed through this challenge. Just a powerful idea. The idea that I'm going through a challenge, right? I'm going through an obstacle and I'm redeemed through that challenge, through that obstacle, both because there's those who are supporting, praying for me, and in turn, that those themselves of the multitude are also redeemed through my challenge. Wow, powerful idea. Wow. Now, all matters that we speak about have to be reflected ultimately in our divine service. As the fact that it is in Torah, right? So this is a verse in Torah, in Tehillim, Psalms. Again, Psalm 55, verse 19. And this was the psalm that the Alter Rebbe was saying when he was being released from prison. It was the psalm of the day for his son, the Mittler Rebbe, that was released from prison on the 10th of the month of Kislev. And the 10th, we read Psalm 55 every month, the 10th of the month. So it's connected to their redemption, right? Being in prison, that's an obstacle, right? And the fact that for both of them, all of the Hasidim were praying for them. And not only that, but ultimately, when they were released from prison, it wasn't just their personal redemption, it was redemption for the entire community, for the entire Hasidic brotherhood. ultimately the entire Jewish people, really. And if it's a redemption for the entire Jewish people, that means ultimately it's a redemption for all of humanity. Wow. Okay, but we need to appreciate this now in our personal divine service. Because ultimately, Zeis Teres Adam, Zeis Satira Adam. What is Torah? Man. Meaning, um, it's all about us and how the Torah speaks to me, speaks to all of us. And and affects us in our daily lives. With this, ties in with the idea that when God created the world, what did he do? Like, how did he do it? So our sages say, brought in the Zohar, that God looked into the Torah, which is his divine wisdom, and he created the world. Right? Which is counterintuitive. We think that the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, in the year 2488, and it was given to, to a people, Jewish people at Mount Sinai, to be a guide for our lives. No, it's much more than that. God, when he created the world before creation, he took blueprints to create the world. What are those blueprints? The Torah. That means to say it's the opposite. Um, that everything in the world is drawn from the Torah. So it means anything of my world, right, has to be drawn from the Torah. It will be the blueprints for me to live my life. So here we're learning this verse. So I need to understand how this verse then, right, is part of Torah, has to be something, how do I lead my life with? Not just a story that happened. It's a life-giving lesson that is part of the creative fabric of creation itself. So you need to understand, what does it mean to be redeemed in peace in my life? Oops. Our annual matching campaign. Every apologies. So we need to understand, what does it mean that I'm redeemed in peace? What does it mean at a close quarters, and that the multitude were with me? So we will continue our conversation. We'll see.